I'm back, and this video, I should name this video Opening Theory at its Best. You would know why. So we have a blitz game between somebody who's 2800. I was 2683 at the time. And D4, E4, that's very typical stuff, right? I mean, that's what you're supposed to play, right? The next move by me is actually the next gen, the way to play the future of chess. That's the next way to play, and this is how people were supposed to be playing the next 50 years. This move, knight h6. As I told you, this is the next gen kind of ideas. To be serious for 1 minute here, this is actually garbage. Not next gen, not the past even. Nothing contribute to this move being anything productive at all. And this move is probably, we could rate this move as a garbage, complete garbage. But people would be here telling me, what's the point of this move? If it's garbage, why you're sharing it? Why are you playing it? I mean, the argument is why you playing it. It's not so much sharing it. The point is, if people follow my videos, you would know that openings are not something that I don't play the main lines. I try not to play the main lines in major openings. I mean, I can, and I have, but I try not to. And I try to play sidelines in different openings. Like, let's say I play the modern defense, I play a sideline in the modern defense. I don't play the main lines in the modern defense. So I try not to. I play different openings. When it comes to 3-0, 1-0, even 10-0, openings are not really relevant. There's a lot of things that could make you win a game without like opening knowledge. Or you take your opponent out of the opening theory, right? So when you play classical game, or you play a selection of players that you know that you're going to play a slow game, you do have to play a legitimate opening and prepare for your opponent and play something that top tier opening, that's something that match your style. You don't want to play a knight h6, and I always tell my students to play something more productive and something that makes sense, that fits their style. And also, like, you want to do, you don't want to concentrate on openings being something that you do have to study, unless you're really a good player and advanced enough to play different openings. When you become a better player, you have to play different openings, whether you play e4, d4, c4, knight f3, English, Catalan. I could name a lot. But when it comes to blitz games, you not necessarily have to play the best openings, or you could practice. Our argument here, you could actually practice your openings. You could do so. But if you really want to play casually, or you want to take your opponent out of theory, you have to play the next generation kind of opening theory, and you start with knight h6. The point of knight h6, though, even though it's garbage, you could see that this is conceding the center. I mean, everything is already looks like it's kind of lost. It's not lost. I mean, to be honest, you could play a goofy opening as not, as long as it's not like tactically lost. You're not giving a pawn randomly. You're giving a piece randomly. Knight h6 is still pretty bad, but it's not tactical mistake per se. It's still like within line that you can still play on, right? And that's the point of the video, right? So g6. So maybe I'm trying to justify the opening, and I usually play g6 as fast as I can after the legendary move knight h6. The point of g6, though, it's like a modern defense. So when you play against e4, d4, g6, this is a modern defense. But the point is, what the point of knight h6 is, potentially getting to a knight f5, or have some break on f5 or d5, so you could take and have a good square on f5. It's not anything productive about it. It's an attempt and a try, but it doesn't mean it's like the next gen kind of thing. It is possible to play this kind of stuff in a blitz game, and it could work. But the point of also knight h6 is to put my opponent in a different territory where openings doesn't play a role here, and it could take him some time to sink. And if you get to a situation where your opponent is sinking more than usual, you may win on time, right? So it's kind of a way to take people out of theory, out of openings. No books here. It's just going to be based on skill. So that being said, we have h4 and we have d6. This d6 is kind of funny though, because I supposed to play d5 and get to this legendary square that would like to go to. But it's funny that maybe I was looking at maybe potential bishop g4. I don't even know why I played d6, but he played here, and I played bishop g7, bishop e2, d5. So now I started paying attention. I was like, d5. Now we could concentrate. He has a couple options, and one of the options is he could play this, and he was able to do this. The funny part about this move is I played c5, and now I'm playing toward the center, which is what you're supposed to be doing. Is you compete on the center. The next move is really shocking to me. It came in as a shocking, and it's still shocking every time I look at it. It's knight c3. What is this move? I mean, I looked at this move. I was like, okay. I mean, what is the purpose here? I could take on d4, and it's funny that white center is being compromised, and I took very fast, assuming that this is not a great idea by white. I have two options, and I think there was knight f5. The idea of knight f5 is simply, if you were to take here, takes, bishop takes here, you do defend against knight c7, check. And this is good enough for black. I mean, I don't think there's any concern for black at this point. I played the other move, which is e6. Maybe this move is interesting. It does give a weakness around like my king though, but e6 defend d5, and my concentration here is like knight c6, and I may still have knight f5. Knight c6 is to win e5, and that's actually the strange part about this move. Knight c3 is actually, it does weaken up e5, and if you're able to win e5, it's a central pawn. That's good for black. So he played this move, and this is another shocker though. This move, my take on this move, you're giving up the bishop pair, meaning that black would have two bishops, white would not have the two bishops. But the problem is, you look at this from black's perspective, this is a wide open position, meaning that bishops do enjoy open diagonals. It seems that black could get the diagonals, right? The diagonals are pretty strong. I think my own perspective that he was not enjoying knight f5. He just felt like knight f5, I don't want to see it. I would just simply take the knight. He may have g4, so he avoid knight f5, and I think his concern about g4, maybe knight c6, but he may have this. So there's a pin. I don't necessarily take the queen. He's still defending that somehow. Maybe that's the way to play g4, and if g4 were to be played, then knight c6, bishop e5. I'm not sure if this knight is ever going to f5. The novelty didn't pay off, would not pay off in this line, supposedly. So he did not do it. He went for this one. I am not in favor for that, because it looks like black could come on top, in this line. So he played this, and now I started to figure out that maybe the reason he took here, this is now the next, I'm going to attack. Defend this, black. And he's basically saying, let's dance, I'm having knight d6, I'm coming in and defend. My next move is more logical than anything else. I mean, knight c6 it is playable, but I played here. I mean, maybe knight c6 was a better choice, but and I think he played queen f4. Now, there is a reason why I played bishop g7. Supposedly, if you know your tactics, does knight d6 work? I'm asking you, are you able to make knight d6 work? Because if it feels like if this were to happen and here, h6, and you cannot go back here, cannot go back here, you just lose a piece. So that would be a huge achievement by white. You don't castle, you lose a piece, and the knight is still sitting on d6, right? But when you play knight d6, queen takes d6. You want to think about the impossible moves. And the point of queen takes d6 is pawn takes, and bishop takes queen, you lose a piece. And, the dances no longer exist, right? So obviously knight d6 would not be a good move here. And that was his point with queen f4. He wants to get out of the way and then play knight d6. Now there was another move here that he could have done, and he could have done h6. And supposedly here, if you went for this one, takes. You cannot castle here. If you castle, then you're getting hit by checkmate. This f6. And I looked at this myself during the game, and I looked at this structure, and I felt like this is good for black. The pawn at d6 is a loose pawn. I'm going to castle here. There's no longer an attack anymore. This has to be good for black. So he didn't do it, and he went with the other line. And the other line makes a little bit sense here. Queen f4. He's basically saying knight d6. You don't have queen takes. I just get out of the square on d4. And I did that, and I was like, okay, we are dancing, we are having fun. I still castle and play knight d6. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting for knight d6. So knight f3 was being played, knight c6. Now I'm just developing a move, putting a little bit pressure on e5, and he took here. So we are basically being taught that when there's a grab like this, you take towards the center. So it's h takes g6 is a move. However, if you take that way, you're actually risking a checkmate. There's maybe knight g5, queen h2, or queen h4, and this h7 issues here that the king is not really good here. There's not a good situation here after taking on g6. There's weaknesses around my king, so I do have to take the other way. And the game is sometimes have a lot of exceptions, and that's one of them. Just because we always take toward the center, it doesn't have to be always that's the case, right? So you always have to, you could change moves. The point of pawn takes, f takes the other way is actually more attractive because you attack the queen, you're also defending your king. And when he went this way, he felt like the attack is happening, but after the next move, h6, the attack no longer seems to exist because he doesn't have a way to come across. So h6 with stopping knight g5 because I could take with the queen, and there's nothing going on, right? He played bishop d3. He played this move, and I felt like this makes sense, hitting g6. And I was like, well, attack g6 all day long. I'm going with, attacking your knight. And where's this knight is going? And my perspective has to go back. But he was basically saying, well, I'm going to play knight d6. Now, pause the video. Could you find any tactic here? If you found the tactic that's good for you, that means you're on the right track to become a master or even beyond. If you haven't found the tactic here, you probably need to work on your tactics. Now, it's funny that I'm saying this because I actually did not find the tactic myself. So that means maybe I should be hitting Puzzle Rush. So the next move is actually two moves. I think the first move is more attractive looking and it's more productive and more direct. Is rook takes f3 though. Rook takes f3 is a good move. The idea though, pawn takes, knight takes e5. The knight is sitting on e5 already. It's hitting f3. So this means it's a way to win the queen because it's a check. So knight takes e5, knight takes f3. So let's say rook takes here, knight takes e5, knight takes e8, knight takes f3. You lose a queen, right? It's check. You could defend it. You could say, well, takes knight takes e5, queen g2, I defend, but you lose the knight on d6. So eventually you're gonna lose something. You come in ahead material-wise and also get rid of e5. So that black, and also this bishop becomes a beast, like open diagonal. And there was maybe a way to counter this. Maybe rook takes f3, knight takes c8, but it is still the same. There's maybe a weird line here, maybe rook f8. It's as funny as it looked. Maybe this is still wins for black. So I take a piece and I go back. You take a piece and it goes back to d6. But I have knight e5. And supposedly this is still winning because I am actually attacking d6. So I don't think there's a way he could get the knight out. And he may eventually lose the knight on d6. So you pick up at the piece and eventually going to pick up the knight on d6. So it still works. I played this move. It's not the same. It's not the same power. It's not the same. It's not precise enough. It still tactically works, but the other move is much sharp and much direct. It's more precise, right? Rook takes f3. So he took here. Queen takes d6. That's the point of my tactic, is to take on d6. He didn't go for knight takes g6. He may be concerned about this one or even queen b4. They both feel like pretty good for black. This is very good position for black. I'm up a pawn, two bishops. Not sure where his king is going. It's a complicated position for him. He played f4 to defend the knight because, by the way, the knight was under attack, so he has to deal with like take or defend the knight. And there was not an easy way to go back. I mean, it's kind of he could have won here, but it's still he has to deal with queen b4, check f4, but he's still dealing with just check, right? And it's not like he's running away from it. And he had to play something like king e2. And here you have to think which way should he take, whether you take on b2 or f4. Taking on f4 is actually makes more sense because the idea is once you take here, you're putting a pressure, you want to take the knight on e5. If you take on b2, you're not really attacking the knight, and as a matter of fact, you're not really attacking as much as opposed to the other one. The other one is much more direct. You're attacking the knight because bishop takes e5. Now, he figured that maybe knight takes g6 here works because now you take a pawn, you attack my rook. Now, if you become passive here, black could become passive. I mean, maybe you could play a passive move here. Pause the video and find a way to continue being active and attacking. If you pause the video and you found the move that continue attacking, that's good. If you haven't, puzzle rush or any kind of puzzles. You may just do more puzzles. The idea here, the next move is very strong because it's rook e4. It's the idea. If you were to take here, you play queen check, and you can't move here. You just lose the knight on g6. Now you could play this, and you risking two bishops and the king. I don't know where the king is going. The king is like in a it doesn't have a square to go to. Like it's not even castled. The position is opening up. Two bishops is too much. So here he cannot really take, or he could take. I mean, here maybe he could have resigned because the situation is getting really complicated, more complicated as you go along. So king f1, bishop d7, and he could take. This is still a move you could do, but I feel like the attack is much stronger now, and the king is still in trouble on f1. He played queen c7. Now pause the video, find a good move here for black. If you found it, that's good. If you haven't found it, again, puzzle rush or any other puzzles, more practice will be needed. The next move is rook f8. You're supposed to sack the rook here. The idea is the king is being in a problem situation here. If he takes on f8, that's what I want him to do. I felt like here he's gonna resign. I have a lead on the clock. It's nothing to do with the clock here. This is more like position it's already lost. And to my surprise, he played here. I couldn't understand what's the idea here. I took with the queen. You go back and you continue checking. And here, and the next move is bishop check. Now here. Now pause the video game. We're going to keep pausing and pausing, but it's okay. So for learning purposes, we do pause the video. Pause the video and find a way to win, from here. There's two ways to win. They are good. Most of them are good. I always tell my students, if you have, let's say you have a position where there's four ways of winning. Optimal way of winning, three other ways of winning. You could still do the three other ways and you could still be okay, but we always tell people to play the best moves. Because sometimes when you're playing with different positions, sometimes you only have one way to win. And you have to find it. What if you're playing a position where you have to find the win? If you don't find the win, you're losing a game. So that's the reason why we always tell people to play it more precise, But it's okay. It's okay not to play the best move if you know what to do and you're able to win. So if you have five ways of winning, you could do all the five. It's okay. But when it comes to critical position where you only have one way to find the better move, you do have to find it. That's actually the major difference. Now let's start with the second move. The second move is actually bishop check. And that would lose the queen, right? Because that's a diagonal. So here you do have to take rook takes. You should be winning this one. We have a queen. More material here. We should be able to win. The other one is better. If we cannot win a queen, then what else? I mean, it's pretty simple. You don't win a queen, you go for checkmate. And here's a checkmate. And obviously, there's rook check here and king over here. You cannot step in here. You cannot go back because of bishop. You cannot go back to g1, I suppose, because there's a bishop. He has to step in here. I don't know if you guys should pause the video here. I mean, there's two ways of checkmate. If you found one, it's okay. And if you don't find it, that's a problem sign. I actually did the inferior checkmate. I went for this one. And this one is not as attractive. This one is more attractive. This one is mate because obviously you cannot go back here. It's a good game. It's a game. I would say it's a good game. May have to take this one back. This is a proof that opening doesn't matter. I started up with knight h6. If people were looking at the end here, they would assume that black played really a good opening. Two bishops here. It's like move 26. It may feel like, this is like a really strong opening has been played by black. You look at the first move, you'll be surprised, right? And that's a point. The game was decided not because of the opening. It was decided because of the strategic play. Like beginning with c5, and he was playing knight c3. He let me take on d4. His h4, h5 never really did anything attacking wise, and e5 was also a pawn that I was able to grab. So the center was not really something that he was able to hold, and then I was able to win based on other aspect that has nothing to do with knight h6. But it's a proof that, opening in 3-0, 1-0, or even 10-0 may not mean much. But if you're playing classical, again, if you're playing classical games, you do have to play like an opening that you're able to handle and fits your style. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more videos because the next videos is going to be more about educational, like me playing blitz or rapid, and I explain move by move, hopefully. But hopefully I don't lose on time. The key is not losing on time because I'll be spending time to explain the moves, and hopefully that's going to be like some good educational for you guys and gives the channel some support. And we're going to be back. Stay tuned for more videos. Take care, folks.